Lauren, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Mareya. It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
I am too, and I love your hat. So let's dive in there. For anybody that's not watching, it says Superwell. That's really like sums up what our goal in life should be is to be super well. Can you tell us the origin of that and a little about you?
Absolutely. It's a great way to kick off the conversation. So, this is my personal brand, Super Well, based on my mantra in life, which is I am the well, striving to be super well. Why the heck not? And I'm here to be a guide for others to do the same.
Mm,
And I lead with it every single day with my community. It's my own personal mantra I tell myself every morning when I step out of bed. It's a reminder. I never say I'm super well. I say I'm striving to be super well. I am super
mm.
well ish. Every day is a new chance for us to clear the slate. I'm not going to wake up and say, I'm okay being well, okay. No,
Mm.
I'm going to shoot for super well.
Yeah.
And I believed in this my whole life. I come from a family that, has we've everybody has health challenges within their family, their genetic codes and makeup. And it's a mindset, and I really firmly believe in epigenetics, and you
Hmm.
can truly defy by the choices you make. It is truly a loaded gun, and the choices we make every day is what pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
Whether you're turning the bad cells on, the inflammation, the stress, all of the things, or you're turning it off, are the practices you put in place each and every day. And the whole intention behind this is the captain is symbolic of get in the driver's seat, be the captain of your own wellness journey. Don't be a passive passenger and let somebody else tell you how to do it, whether you're listening to a doctor saying, take this, pharmaceutical or whatever it is. Like,
Hmm.
go do the research for yourself. Be an
I,
active participant in this
I love it.
journey. Yeah, so Superwell is truly just acquired the domain. I bought up trademarks 6 years ago and just really have monopolized the whole space. And it's very powerful when I walk through the airport because I'm traveling all the time. I mean, I have my hat on everywhere, and you can just see people as they come closer and they're reading it, and they go, you can read their lips. They go, super well. I
Hmm.
want to be super well. And I,
Yeah.
I just am like, why the heck not? And then they're like, what is it? Because I want to be it. And it's
Yeah.
like Nike, just do it. So
Yeah, I love that. It's a call to action, really. Is super well something that you've always strived for, or you said in the last 6 years? What was life before that? What brought you to this point?
yeah, I mean, I have always, that's been my leading mantra, really since I was probably, I don't know, in my young 20s. I've always been very interested in health and wellness since I
Mm,
was really a little girl, and very curious about the human body, how it works, the mechanics, really on the mitochondrial health, the cellular health. I just really have always nerded out to that. And I am a very type A driven individual. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a visionary, I'm a dreamer. I wear a lot of hats and have a lot of responsibilities, and I'm sure you can tell. And you sound like you're the same way.
mhm.
We have a tendency of teeter tottering on burnout real fast when you're
Yeah.
wired that way. And so I have found myself in burnout a few times in my life. One was pretty significant and brought me to my knees, and I was no good to anybody in
Mm,
my family that really needed me at that time. But there was a lot of crises going on. My husband had a career-ending concussion. He played in the NHL for 20 years, and he's a Hall of Famer. And it was like, here's this hero, this strong man who was invincible, that all of a sudden was so broken. And my father had a situation, my mom had a situation with three little kids, and I just, was fueling myself on loads of caffeine, empty stomach, not fueling myself from a nourishing nutrition standpoint, eating grilled cheese crust off my kids' plates, and stress management was putting my daughter in the stroller and going for these aggressive long runs, getting those adrenals
mm,
just and more caffeine. And then at night I was cooking dinner. I was like, have a glass or two of wine. And Well, you put your head on the pillow and you can't sleep. And you
Mm.
do that for 3 months and you are gonna fry your system. So that was really the time where I formulated this whole Superwell living method. And I did it for my own purposes. I like to say my holistic tool belt and my burnout insurance.
So
Because
really that there was a time, there was, would you say, kind of a rock bottom when, what happened to your husband and you were seeing other people around you and your own self? Would you say that it came at that rock bottom moment that you knew that you had to change and do something to maybe deliver yourself and other people around you? Why did you decide that this was something that you needed to share with the world?
Because I see it all the time within the community that I have of women, and we live in a society now where it is a 24/7 constant cortisol drip. It is sympathetic overdrive nonstop, and it's the world we live in now. We've got cell phones, we've got computers, we've got text messages, we've got, social. We've got all these things screaming at us, and we're losing sight of the things that bring us back to that restorative parasympathetic nervous system. I always say that's my happy place. That's
Yeah.
where we all need to get back to. And I really, it's what pulled me out of burnout. And it was holistic, it was organic, it was natural, and it was actually the practices that our ancestors have been doing for centuries, and kind of reversing and going back to the simplistic practices in life, getting out in nature, leaving your technology, doing breath work, lowering that cortisol, being with animals. We have a lot of animals. Being with my husband, being with our family, laughter, that oxytocin release, good nourishing nutrition that comes right out of the ground, not from the center aisles. Those are the 8 pillars of the super well living method, and they're all very intentional, and they're so basic, and they're all pretty much free outside of the nutrition side. I mean, but there's strategic ways that you can approach that, and I know you know all about that. But I would say, it was a gift I gave myself, and it was powerful, and it was reliable, and it was strong, that would stand with me for the rest of my life, truly, as my burnout insurance. And I say my holistic tool belt
Mm.
because I learned breath work. It was like, I got a weapon here.
Mm.
I learned, meditation, got another one here. I learned about, contrast therapy. I got certified, as a contrast therapist. And it was like all these things that
Mm. And
I
for everybody that doesn't know what contrast therapy, that's alternating hot and
yeah,
cold therapy. So you would
cold
do
shock
maybe a
therapy.
sauna,
Mhm.
and then followed by a cold plunge or cryotherapy or something like that.
Always end on the cold though, because that's
Yeah.
how we grow our brown fat.
Yeah.
So it's yes, but that's essentially, what I had built this method, and it would have been a disservice to my community and anybody if I didn't share it. And it was kind of like, you know what? I'm going to put it out there, and if anybody wants to, I don't have it all figured out, nor do I say that, but it's kind of like this mission, and come join with me, because if you want to get super well or strive every day, let's cheer each other on, because we're all
Yeah.
in this together.
Yeah. I think we all ships rise, right? With the tides. Um, Back to the captain analogy.
I love it.
Um, I think, and I think we're maybe roughly the same age. Are you in your 50s?
No, I'm 49.
40s. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not I'm there.
You're almost there. We're almost in the same,
Yeah.
I can just say in the same era. So
Yes.
I think what also happens and happened to me is that you hit a point where all of the things that you used to be able to do don't work anymore. So I used to be able to diet my way out of things. I used to be able to exercise my way out of things. I used to be able to, I think kind of like biohack whatever myself, but then things just started to change and it was hormonal. I mean, it was absolutely hormonal. And once I just figured it out in the last, couple of months, I went on HRT and it's already changing so much. Was there a point, or have you gotten to a point where you feel like a lot of the things that we can control stop working because there is something inherently off biologically that we have to fix first? Have you, in your work with your community, seen like, okay, I'm doing all the things, but it's still not working?
No, I absolutely. And I have so much to share on that. I, work with so many women that have the same experience where, gosh, I was doing all these things and I would always work. And now I'm just gaining more weight and I'm eating less and I'm training harder. And I actually advise them, in my experience, you're making it harder on your system, because as we age, female cortisol dysregulation gets worse.
Mm.
So the more we disrupt our cortisol, meaning train harder, fast harder, we're putting our body into more fight or flight. That cortisol is just dumping into our belly. We're getting that inflammation. If anything, that's the time where I advise shift into more restorative workouts. I solely only, and I went through, all the years of HIIT training, cardio, and I strength train 3, 4 days a week and alternate with the Pilates days to lengthen and strengthen, and a
Mm.
lot of walking.
Yeah,
And
me
it is,
too. I'm in the same exact routine.
yes, and it's quite the opposite, I find, of stop being so hard on your system and your body, because it's going to push back and it's certainly not going to respond with your old hacks of beating yourself up, especially if you're going to go to extremes, and then it disrupts your sleep and it's just an absolute destruction to your whole system. I always like to say that I want to bump gently into menopause. Like, I want
Mm.
to have just an ease into it where we just slide right in and we're like, boop, okay, there it is. Because it is obviously going to happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's part of the human body, but it shouldn't be fear. You shouldn't fear it. It shouldn't be daunting. I, have obviously gone through years of education. I did 3 years with Institute of Integrative Nutrition. I'm a master with Nutritious Life, so I know a lot about hormone health. So back, I don't know, it was probably 8 years ago. I Now they have all these monitors that really check your perimenopause, your menopause, all of that. Well, back then they didn't have that. So I figured out, I was like, well, I'm just going to get an ovulation kit, because that way I can check my LH, my FSH, all of my hormones and know. So I would literally pee on a stick, not because I wanted to
Hmm.
get pregnant. We've got 3 children. We're good there. But so that I could track every single morning what my levels were doing. So I did this 3 times, 3 different times of the year. So I'm sorry, 3 months for 3 different times in a year. And I had a beautiful glimpse, because when we go to the doctor, whether it's your functional med doc, your hormone specialist, what have you, they're going to do blood work. That's one small snapshot. And you're lucky if you get a full female panel, if you get, all your thyroid, your TSH, and your T3 and T4. A lot of times you have to ask for this. That will
Yeah, a
really
lot of
give you,
people don't, they wouldn't even know what to ask for, right?
because you need to know what's going on underneath the hood to really understand your own bio individual body. But so I essentially had a roadmap of when I was at my peak. I was truly super well then. I was like thriving. My hormones are surging. I, had great energy. My skin, everything was just booming. And so I was like, this is the time this year I want to have a great snapshot from my doctor.
Mhm.
And so I went in and I gave her all this information. She was like, I know you know a lot, but she's like, this is the most brilliant thing, because all she does then is she matches my hormones now to that.
Hmm.
And we just do a little sprinkle here of this, a little sprinkle of that. And we've gently gotten to really steady, beautiful levels in this. I always say, like, a biorhythm in your body of just everything flowing the way it should. I'm not a fan of pellets. I think it's just too abrasive, aggressive. But I think if you can strategically bring on a little progesterone, a little testosterone, a little estrogen, but also checking through a Dutch test of how you're methylating your estrogens. How are you processing? Because there's three different kinds of estrogen. So, I mean, I could go on and on. But the point is, we're all bio individual bodies. And I think, you can go as scientific and nerdy and really understand your own, system, and match that. Or if you don't believe in HRT, I think you should support it. It's been debunked, the whole, 2002 women's health. And I mean, it
Yeah,
was so
yeah,
destructive.
all that
Yeah.
outdated data, or not even outdated, but misinterpreted really, and they
Yeah.
removed the black box warning. So that's, I think a lot of women over the last couple of decades have really been disserved because of their suffering in silence. Meanwhile, there was really misunderstanding about HRT, and we are now seeing that becoming undone, which is a good thing. But I think, and I want to just caveat for the women out there that are listening that are like, oh, I don't even know what to ask for. I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I think that there really is a benefit to seeking a functional medicine doctor that understands the nuances of some of these different tests versus what you would get from your general practitioner or, um, you know, uh, just solely Western medicine doctor. I'm not dissing on anybody. I'm just saying it's just a different approach. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. But I really did, I was shocked, to be honest, at what my hormone specialist doctor had me get for a blood test versus my general practitioner. I couldn't even get my GP to pull my testosterone levels. I had to like beg to get my estrogen and my progesterone levels. So it's kind of like if you're not looking at the thing, how are you going to fix it?
Yep. But yeah. And I don't even, like you said, we could go down that rabbit hole. And I think there is definitely a need and a place for Western medicine. I am not dissing it because it has impacted my family, and those doctors have saved, some of my family members' lives. But I also agree with you. I hear it all the time in my community. And that's where this comes into play. I'm like, be the advocate, be the captain, be the driver. Go in, find, if you're not getting it from that doctor, there are so many, whether it's telehealth, whether you have your local functional med doc, whoever it is, start asking. I'll help you source it and know the labs to ask for and what to get, what test to run. To me, health is wealth.
Hmm.
That is an investment. I wouldn't buy a pair of shoes or a purse or a car or anything over a test. Like it's so funny because my husband knows every year for my birthday, I always reorder all my favorite tests. I'm like, that's the most exciting thing that I can.
Forget the purse. It's the
Yeah.
test.
He's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh. But it allows me to know where I'm at. I know I've had so many tests through the years. I have so many baselines. I mean, I am like a data freak. I have been wearing a CGM. I've been part of, this company for a long time. And just like, I believe in data and metrics. It's not for everybody, but to truly know where you stand, and then you can continue to strive to be more super well when you know numbers.
Mm.
And I don't obsess over it, but I'm a goal oriented person. And yeah, I agree with you. You got to know what to ask for so you know what is going on. Certainly, hormones are so powerful, and they are the dictators. They are like the part of the symphony. Um,
Yeah.
and also, cortisol. Like I love a Dutch
Let's
test. So
talk about
you,
that. Let's talk because you mentioned cortisol. Let's really talk about what cortisol is and why it can wreak havoc if it's not checked and controlled. What is
yeah.
cortisol?
Okay, so cortisol is your stress hormone. Number one, everybody gives it a terrible rap. They're like, oh my God, especially now TikTok. I mean, I've got a 24-year-old, a 22-year-old, and an 18-year-old. And they're like, all of a sudden, I mean, they know the whole Superwell world. They are very strive to be Superwell every day because it's part of our family. So they watch all this stuff on social media and they're like, oh my gosh, my cortisol is so bad. Cortisol is like, you guys, okay, you have to realize actually cortisol is not your enemy. It can be your best friend.
Yeah,
It
you
is your
need
enemy
cortisol.
when it is dysregulated. So our cortisol awakening graph should be highest in the morning. I can't tell you the last time I have ever set my alarm because I let my own cortisol rise naturally. And that is what jump starts your engine. That is
Mm.
a beautiful rhythm within, again, talking about biorhythm, allowing your own body. I don't want to wake up to a blaring alarm. That's just going to spike my cortisol even more. Now, the key to being friendly with your cortisol and honoring that rhythm is to not abuse it. So when I get up, my cortisol awakening is at its highest. We want it to slowly go down through the day and at the bottom when you're going to bed. That's what's going to ease you into a great night's sleep, a deep REM sleep. But first thing in the morning, I will not go to the coffee machine. I will have a morning gut elixir. I'm very intentional about everything I put in it. I have it lined up next to my bathroom sink. I have my fresh squeezed lemon
What
juice.
is in that morning gut elixir?
Oh gosh, I knew you were going to ask me that. This is going to be a whole nother episode. We might have to do a I have super greens, so I have a special formulated super greens that I put in there. I have L-glutamine for your gut lining and really keeping that barrier in check.
Mm.
I have creatine. I have Zen basil seeds in there. I have oh my gosh, what else? I have amino acids. I have Baja sea salt. I have a little bit of fiber blend. There, I mean, and it's always depending on when I'm traveling, how I'm feeling, all of the things. But I have some, those are pretty much the basics that are always on my bathroom counter. I'll send you a picture of it. And so
Okay, I like it. I like what you're describing though.
yeah. And
I
I
haven't
always,
gotten to the point where I reach for something before coffee other than water.
ah,
And I
don't,
know it's, but I do put MCT oil in my coffee. So I feel like it's not that horrible. And I use a mushroom blend, so it's not like, hot acid pouring into my gut first thing without anything in it. But it's hard to reach for anything besides that other than water.
I know. And at the very least, I always encourage everyone in my community, just drink a liter of water first before your feet even hit the ground.
Mm,
And but I prime my gut microbiome that way. And I mean, honestly, it's the point where when we travel, I have the whole system hacked. I mean, I'll go to Trader Joe's, I'll grab apple cider vinegar, lemon. It should be effortless and easy. And my gut literally craves it. And it's
mm,
almost like, it sounds so weird, but it's almost like my stomach says, thank you. It's like a warm hug to my stomach and it
mm.
eases me in. I do not touch any caffeine, which I'm a matcha girl. I love matchas. I have embraced matcha from day one when I went through terrible burnout because I coffee was my enemy. I still do from time to time. I'll have my husband drinks coffee still, so I'm like, it smells so good. So I'll have
Mm.
a couple sips of his, or if I'm really low on fumes, then I'll have a little iced latte. But for the
Yeah.
most part, my point is back to cortisol, just gently easing into the day, because the worst thing in the world we can do is overstimulate that cortisol and
Mm.
jolt it
Yeah.
because it's not honoring again the rhythms of the body and allow it to do what it's meant to do. Be high, don't abuse it, and then whether it's strength training, depending on how, even with my going back to my wearables, I'll look at my HRV. How did I sleep? How much deep sleep did I get? How recovered am I? I determine how hard I'm going to go in that strength training workout or if it's going to be more restorative. And I just follow the patterns throughout my day. If it means I've had a high stress day and things are crazy, say with well inspired travels or what have you, then I may have to step away from some calls and do 10 minutes of breath work. And I weave that in and I set those boundaries.
Mm.
And
So that's
uh,
more of your intuitive feeling about I that was really going to be my next question is obviously you are tracking your data and you're looking at numbers, but what about the woman out there who It's just like, look, I can barely get a meal on the table. I don't have time to do all of this and track it. That's adding more stress to me. Is there an internal barometer of sorts that you adhere to that just says, okay, this might be saying this number, but the truth is I need to step away for a little while, or I need to give myself that extra nourishment because, or that treat because I would like that because it looks good. Like, do you allow yourself that kind of, I guess, wiggle room?
Absolutely. And I encourage it. I preach this. It's in my book, which we'll, I'm sure, talk about at some
Yeah.
point, but I have a whole section on 80/20 as my rule, my go-to. Life is beautiful. We need to embrace the 20%. We need to embrace that.
Mm,
If it's, I love a good clean tequila. So I'll
mm,
sip, I'm a purist. I will sip a good tequila. I won't go crazy with it, but not every night, like when we're on, just strategically.
right.
I will enjoy a good piece of dark chocolate. I'm a sucker for a chocolate chip cookie, a
Mm,
real chocolate chip cookie.
yeah.
So I absolutely give myself grace along the way. And I think that's the beauty in life. So much we talk about traveling, and a big component to traveling the world is enjoying the culinary experiences along the way.
Hmm.
And so, no, I think that again goes back to fueling that parasympathetic nervous system. When we're constantly so rigid and so data driven and, you know, feeling so restricted, we're just spiking that cortisol, and that fight or flight is on all the time. I mean, how good is it to sit around and be amongst good friends, share a bottle of wine,
Yeah.
have a wonderful plate of, cheese and all the things and great connection. I mean, that's restorative. That's
Yeah.
actually helping you feel more super well.
Yeah.
And so I think people need to give themselves that grace and allow themselves to, enjoy life. We're only here for a short time. So, soak as much you can out of it. Soak
Yeah.
the
Amen.
super
Amen.
sweetness out of life.
Amen to that. Your book, Superwell. So you mentioned really 8 pillars of
Yeah.
becoming super well. Can you just name those off again one more time?
So well aging, longevity is kind of the basic framework. That's the foundation. And then we roll into nourishing nutrition, optimal sleep. That's probably my favorite one. My husband says it all the time. I said nourishing nutrition, balance flow, which is movement, soulful connection. That's so vitally important. Nature connection, so important too.
Mm.
Um, let's see here. Hold on. What other one? Biorhythm, which I talk about. That's the rhythms and kind of the mindfulness aspect.
Natural rhythms. Yeah.
Yes, I think I named all eight. Oh, emotional connection.
Mm.
And that is in yourself and with individuals, the importance of, community, but also getting out of your own head. We're big into volunteering and giving back. We volunteer a lot. We go to the hospitals, and we sit here, in our world, and we think, oh my God, my problems are so challenging and life is so
Yeah.
hard. Well, you put yourself in those situations, it gives you a really different perspective on life. And to me, it's very healing. And it, again, goes back to feeling more super well.
Yeah.
And the reason for 8 pillars is the interconnectedness of the number 8. There's no
Mm.
broken link in that loop of the
Yeah.
infinity symbol,
Yeah.
because each one is vitally important. And some people think, yeah, you know what? In my day, I don't need nature connection. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to spend hours out in nature. I'm not saying soulful connection, you need to spend hours with people. If I feel my most super well, it's when I've hit all 8 in some matter. Most of the time, it's heavy in optimal sleep, heavy in nourishing nutrition,
Hmm.
heavy in balanced flow, but I always have to have some form of nature connection and soulful connection.
Mm.
Right now, what we're doing, yes,
Yeah.
we're on Zoom, but this is soulful connection. Like, I
Totally.
feeling more relaxed. I'm inspired. I'm learning from you. Like it's a
Yeah,
gift.
same.
This
Yeah,
conversation is
I think we learned that during the pandemic. I think the thing that was maybe the most destructive was the isolation
yes.
and the feeling of not being able to interact one on one with the people that we love and to see them and to touch their hands. And I have a friend who lost her father during that time. She couldn't even visit him in the hospital. So we learned in that very horrific, global pandemic what it really means to be in community and to be with the people that you care about face to face,
Yes.
even if you couldn't hold their hand. And I think that is definitely a mantra for life. I want to touch on the nature piece because there are a lot of theories in quantum biology, which I'm starting to read much and dive into much more about the healing power of nature. And I think all you have to do is go into nature and be like, wow, I can't really explain it, but I just feel so much better. Is there a certain experience that you've had or something that you default to get into nature that makes you feel that kind of way?
Yeah, I love that question. And I would say going back to again, just our ancestors, and I know it sounds all woohoo, but I'm a huge believer in grounding first thing in the morning. I
Mm,
don't touch technology, and I always call them Superwell stacks. We're all busy individuals. And I work with a lot of women that, have to be go, go, go. So time efficiency, I've
yeah.
been known to be standing in my yard with my red light therapy mask on while I'm sipping my morning gut elixir because it's got so much acid in it. I always use a straw while I'm standing barefoot in the ground looking at the sun, or I don't have my mask on and I'm
I
getting
love
all
it.
that done in
Yeah.
10 minutes. But back to the nature connection and our ancestors, you think about they didn't have shoes and they felt that connection. And there's
Yeah.
true scientific data about from a cellular level when your feet touch the ground and the soil,
Mm,
how healing and powerful that is. It lowers inflammation, it lowers the cortisol. And then obviously seeing the sun, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole I can go down on circadian rhythm and the importance
yeah.
of that, going to the optical nerve and how your brain processes that. It truly sees the sun in the morning and then every night after dinner. I don't care if it's 5, 10 minutes. I always move my body. That's for blood sugar, glucose optimization.
Hmm.
Um, and some form of movement is your muscle is your glucose garbage disposal after you've eaten. And again, Super Bowl stacking, you're seeing that sun go down. It is telling your brain again, okay, now it's time to go to sleep. And going
Yeah.
back to optimal sleep, which is my favorite pillar, that registering of the sun going up and sun going down has just created this golden method for beautiful optimal sleep for deep NREM. And I think people really underestimate the powers of it because they're like, yeah, that's not going to really do anything. But I'm like, just try it for a few weeks. Just try it. But nature connection, yes, feet in the ground. I think being out in nature, like you said, disconnected from technology, listening to the birds, like just looking at the beauty, taking in the colors,
Mm,
really registering the different rhythms of the light is so powerful and healing.
yeah, it
And
is. I can't stress it enough. I mean, if I don't get out and
yeah,
see nature in some sort every single day, I feel like something is lost. And I want to transition into travel because I know that's something we both share in common too. But one of my favorite trips that I've taken so far is I did a self-guided tour through a company called Max Adventure and hiked for 7 days through the countryside of Portugal. And I think a lot of people, they were like, well, what did you see? And I'm like, I saw a lot of forest. I saw a lot of green. I saw a lot of coastal land and cliffs and water. Like I did not spend much time in the big cities at all. And I've now come to realize this is my favorite kind of vacation now. I actually don't want to be inundated by all the sounds and tons of people and technology and stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about your travel business as well? Well inspired travel.
Yes, I love how you set that up because I actually have something coming up that is we will really resonate with you. So our company is Well Inspired Travels. I launched it in 2018, and very intentional. I grew up traveling, exploring the world with my family, but always really about how can we return more optimal, more super well when we come back home? What are we learning from the world? Whether it's the culinary aspect, the mindfulness, just any and all of it, the culture, the community.
Mm,
But as to your story about your wonderful trip that was so memorable, my husband and myself are getting ready to celebrate our 25th anniversary, which is
oh,
a huge
congratulations.
accomplishment.
That's huge.
Yeah. And here we are in the travel business, and we've been very successful. We've got, incredible team of all these employees, and we, do really well. So a lot of the properties love for us to come because when we're there, I do a lot of content and we showcase the properties. That's how I share it privately with our clients. And so we have access really to go anywhere. And like my husband said, well, do you want to go to Europe? Do you want to go? And I don't say this arrogantly. It's just part of the industry. It's part of
Mm,
work, but also,
yeah.
obviously enjoyment.
Hmm.
And we both looked at each other. Actually, we were on a walk. We've been talking about it for a while. And we're like, okay, we've been all over the world and it's such a blessing, but we're so simple. We're like, we don't want to deal with the tourists. We don't want a big city. We don't want to
Hmm.
deal with all the craziness. We work so hard all the time. We're literally going to Montana and we're going to Colorado and we're hiking for basically 3 weeks. And
Nice.
no
Sounds
fancy
amazing.
spas, no Michelin starred restaurants. Like my husband doesn't drink, we're just that brings us so much pure happiness and joy. Being in nature, good sleep, great books, literally going off the grid. So you
Mm,
speak my love language when you talk about your favorite trip.
yeah.
It's it's like and I mean we're so excited.
It's like
It's
my body is craving it again. It's so interesting. And I think for you, with the travels that you decide to do, I want to encourage everybody listening. You don't need to wait for anybody. You can absolutely, the last episode was just about solo travel and about how in midlife we can do the courageous things and we can go to the places we've never been to. And as long as you have an attitude of just like, this is exciting and I'm going to embrace the new things, it doesn't have to be scary. So, if anybody is listening going, well, I want to do that, do it. Don't wait.
yeah,
We only get one life.
that's what I say. We're travel matchmakers. We do solo, we do groups, we do multi-gen. I mean, do it all. I host retreats. I have blended Superwell and Well Inspired Travels, my two passions, and they bolster
Mm.
each other. And I put on really incredible retreats. I usually
You have any
it's
retreats coming up?
I do. I'm doing one in January, January 14th to 17th, and so by the time that this episode launches, I will be
Yeah.
able to show that.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
yes, but it's quite special, and I usually do four a year, and I share it with my private community, but sometimes I open it up and just kind of blast it. It just depends on how many rooms I have and the scale and the size. But
Hmm.
I like to keep it around 12, 15, at most 20, because
Hmm.
I'm very intentional about the group and making sure that I'm very connected with everybody. I always do an onboarding call well in advance and learn about their goals and how I can support them, and then always post follow up along the way too.
Yeah.
And clearly, I line the retreats at the latest and greatest, kind of the ones that nobody's heard of. And yeah, so it's a joy and a pleasure for me. But they're kind of secret squirrels, so I'll definitely share the one in January. And then I've got another really cool one in April that I'm always working at least a year in advance on them.
Yeah, that's exciting. Where can people find out more about Superwell and Well Inspired Travels, Lauren?
Thank you. So laurenpronger.com is really where most of my information we talked about Superwell lives, but I'm switching everything eventually over to superwell.com, but for now, laurenpronger.com. And then
LaurenPronger.com.
IG is where all the fun happens. You follow me, we have so much fun. I mean, that's like, I let it all out there. I opened up my private account. I was very protective of our kids and my husband being a Hall of Famer. And so I was like, oh gosh, okay, well, here we go. If I'm going to open up my personal brand as Super Well, I'm going to let it rip. And I
Yeah,
told my husband, I was like, all the crazy stuff I do at home, that's what people want to, they got to see it. So just
yeah,
be prepared. You're like, oh
yeah,
God. And
yeah,
my kids were like, well, you really do let it rip, don't you? I'm like, yes, I do. So it's so fun because I connect with everybody that way. I am vulnerable. I make fun of myself along the way because we have to. And I'm
yeah,
also real. Like sometimes shit happens and sometimes we have terrible days and our hormones are all the things. But
yeah.
I mix in the nerdy knowledge with real life. And so that's Lauren underscore Pronger, Pronger. And
On
then Well Inspired
Instagram.
Travels, yes, is Well Inspired Travels with an S.com. I'm not
Okay.
active really on IG there because I don't have enough RAM for it. So that account just kind of runs with people put up pretty photos and I don't really I can only nurture so much on top of
Yeah,
my husband.
yeah, yeah. We don't want to burn the cortisol out.
No, no, we cannot go there. No.
Lauren, it's been a great time. I like to end my interviews with one question is if you could have any meal created by
Ooh.
anyone, what would the meal be and who would make it?
Oh my God, that's so good. Okay. Um, that meal would probably, well, it would be all fresh from the garden, all the colors of the rainbow, all the polyphenols. I'm a sucker for like microgreens of all the different varieties. Um, I love beets. I love just all the colors of the rainbow. I love mixing seeds in with it. I love a good crunch. I love a homemade dressing. I always do one with like lemon and like a lemon vinaigrette and a lemon olive oil blend. I love fresh herbs in there too. I always try to challenge 30 different plants and uh, any kind of vegetables and seeds a week, all the cycling. Again, challenging your gut microbiome. So
Hmm.
that
So
would
big
be
salad.
big salad and a protein. I'm a big
Okay.
protein girl.
What's your protein?
It varies, but I would say either really good
Your favorite?
salmon, favorite.
Yeah.
Probably salmon, or
Salmon.
I'm also a sucker for, I just like really good grill. My husband crushes the grill. So I would say his grilled chicken, we marinate like an Italian blending, like marinade. And then, like I said, I love a good chocolate chip cookie. Give me a scoop of vanilla bean ice cream and a warm chocolate chip cookie with sea salt on it, and we're
Hmm.
besties.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty
I
good.
start my meal with just like a good clean tequila. Um, and
Is it your husband that's making this meal since he's so good on the grill?
no, I do all that. I also love Brussels sprouts too. I do all the roasting of the vegetables. So I always in my fridge have roasted cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. I do like a mixed blend of a bunch of different things and I layer it. Um, so I do all that. He does all the grilling. And so that's like my happy our
But
fridge
if you
is
could have anybody make it for you, would there be somebody special that would do this?
God,
Take it
I mean
off
I'm
your plate for a minute?
anybody special. Well, it wouldn't be my husband, he can grow, but no, I wouldn't leave him to the other stuff. Um, no, because I'm so particular about how much oil and all the things I put in it. And I also love making my own dipping sauces. That's how I keep it exciting and interesting. So I love putting it together, and it's a joy and a pleasure for me. I've always loved cooking. My mom is an incredible cook.
Hmm.
So and my kids are great cooks. Even my
Hmm.
boys who are like, but I do believe I never like scolded my kids, like, come here, we're going to do a cooking class. They're doing their homework at the counter. They're just watching you do these things, and boom, they go off to college and they figure it out,
Yeah.
and now I look at what they make and I'm like, oh my God, maybe I'd have my kids cook for me.
There you
There you
go. I
go.
like
Full
that. That's a
circle.
big
Full
gift. I think
circle.
I always say
Yeah.
the biggest gift that you can give your kids is the knowledge of how to cook and how to eat to thrive. There
Yeah.
really isn't any other life hack skill. I think that's more important. So just
Yes.
get them in the kitchen with you, have them watch, have them press the button on the blender, have them with a dull knife chop up whatever they can, wash the produce, pick the produce, just get them involved in the process, and little by little they'll really show an interest, and it does help with their palates too.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Yeah.
You speak my love language all
Oh
around.
yeah, Lauren, we
We
could
hit it
dish all
all.
day. We could dish
And
all
we
day. We got a lot.
really could. I
I
mean,
wanted to show you something because maybe you don't know this, but in my book, I also have 8 pillars. And I
oh, I love it.
also talk about how when you put the 8 on its side, it's the infinity. So we really are kind
We
of
are,
soul
I
sisters
mean,
separated at birth here.
I love it. So, you asked me the question. I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do. You can cook me your favorite meal because I love to eat anything. I don't have any allergies. I'll embrace it all. 80
Okay.
20, you name it.
Okay.
And we'll continue talking on all the things. I love
I'm
it.
I'm down. We'll make that happen, but in the
Infinity sisters for
meantime,
life.
yeah,
Yes.
I really appreciate your time today, Lauren. It's been great to hear about Superwell and Well Inspired Travels and really how you walk the talk. And I think that the more we can share that and encourage women not to feel bad, because this isn't a shaming thing, but it's to just really expand how we've thought about aging and embracing our best health. It's really fun. It's fun to see who we can bring along in the journey, and I just celebrate you today for doing that. So thank you for being on.
Thank you so much. That's right. You said it all. Striving to be super well is the goal. Like, why the heck not?
Why the heck not? Let's go.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.